Good morning, class 11. In today's session, I'm going to take up another topic of the chapter, that is the periodic properties. And the first periodic property that I'm going to consider here is atomic radii, because there are different types of atomic radius which I'll be taking up today. So before I move ahead with the different types of periodic properties, I'll explain you the types of atomic radii in detail. So first of all, what is the meaning of atomic radii? The term atomic radii means the distance from the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell containing the electrons. As you can see here, considering this as an atom, the distance between the center of the nucleus and the valence shell, this distance is termed as atomic radii. And we have three different types of atomic radii: the covalent radii, van der Waals radii, and the metallic radii. So first of all, we will study about covalent radius. The covalent radius will be observed in covalent compounds, and the covalent bond you have studied in class 10 also. How do we define a covalent bond? The covalent bond is formed between two or more non-metals by mutual sharing of electrons. And when you have to represent it in terms of orbits, we show it with this type of diagram where we show the overlap of the orbits and hence the orbitals. Here I have shown just the overlap of the orbits. So this type of bonding is known as covalent bonding, and the compounds are called covalent compounds. So when you have to measure the radii of a covalent compound, how do we find it out? We find it out by measuring the distance between the center of the two atoms, like this, the center of the first atom, and this is the center of the second atom. We measure the distance between the two, and the distance between the center of the two atoms is referred to as internuclear distance, because obviously the center of an atom is what? Nucleus. So it is referred to as nuclear distance, and the half of this internuclear distance is known as covalent radii. So the formula comes out to be internuclear distance in the bonded atoms divided by 2, or half of internuclear distance in the bonded atoms. Now coming to the second category, the van der Waals radii. So again, before you have to understand van der Waals radius, you need to recall what is van der Waals force of attraction. Van der Waals force of attraction is observed in among the molecules. Like if I have packed oxygen gas in an oxygen cylinder or in any cylinder, the type of interaction between the oxygen molecule will be van der Waals interaction. It is a weak interaction which is observed among the covalent molecules. Okay, so here you can see that two separate molecules are mentioned here. This is one separate molecule and this is another separate molecule. Okay, now when you have to find out the van der Waals radius, what do? We consider two adjacent molecules like this. You can see here in the diagram, the distance between the center of this atom and this atom will give you the internuclear distance between the adjacent atoms, between two adjacent molecules, and the half of this internuclear distance is referred to as van der Waals radius. So children, when you are finding out the radius, it is very important for you to know the meaning of the type of bond. Then only you will be able to find it out with the help of the diagram. So half of the internuclear distance between two similar adjacent atoms belonging to the two neighboring molecules of the same type or the same substance in the solid state is termed as van der Waals radius. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Now coming to metallic radius. Metallic radius, by the name itself, it is justified that we will be considering here metallic solid. Half of the distance between the center of the nuclei of two adjacent atoms in the metallic crystal is termed as metallic radii. Now, if you consider a metal or metallic body, you know that atoms are tightly packed in a metallic solid like this, and the half of the distance between the two adjacent atoms in a metallic crystal is termed as metallic radii. Now, when you compare the radii, the three types of radii, obviously the van der Waals radii will be the largest in value, and then comes the metallic radii, and at last we have covalent radii. Because in van der Waals radii, as you can see here in the diagram, there is a distance between the two neighboring atoms. So obviously the internuclear distance will be more, so obviously the half value will be more. Now coming to covalent radii, you can see here it is formed by the overlap of the two atoms atomic orbits. So obviously the internuclear distance will be closer in comparison to this. But when you talk about metallic, in case of metallic, you have seen that two atoms are closely placed adjacent to each other like this, but they do not overlap. So obviously this radius will be bigger in comparison to this. Atoms here I have taken is a small, but obviously when you take the same diameter of the atom, as in this case, you will find that metallic radii will be bigger than covalent radii. So this is the comparison of the three types of radii. Now here is a note which you need to note down in your notes. Van der Waals radii is always calculated in solid state, as the magnitude of force is expected to be maximum in the solid state. So actually it is a very weak force. Van der Waals force is a very weak force. So when we have to find out van der Waals radii, we need to make sure that that particular compound or molecules are converted into solid state first by compressing them, whatever means we can use. Then only you can find out the appropriate value of van der Waals radii, because in gaseous state the molecules remain far apart from each other, so it is very difficult to find out the value of the radii. Next is covalent radius is easy to determine out of the three. Therefore, atomic radius is normally expressed in terms of covalent radii. This is the most preferred one because it is the easiest to determine. In case of noble gases, their van der Waals radius represents the atomic radii, because noble gases do not form bonds. So obviously when they are not forming bond, there is no chance of any type of bonding. The atoms remain separated from each other. So if you have to find out the radii, there is only one option to find out van der Waals radii, which represents their atomic radii. There are exceptions also. Xenon is now known to form n number of compounds with oxygen and fluorine. Therefore, in case of xenon, it is possible to find out covalent radius, because recently it is found that xenon forms compounds with fluorine and oxygen. Now coming to variation of atomic radius in the periodic table. Okay, now this is an important part. This L to R means left to right across a period. When you are moving left to right across a period, what happens? The nuclear charge increases. What is nuclear charge? Nuclear charge means the number of protons in the nucleus, and number of protons depends upon what? It depends upon the atomic number. So when you are moving left to right, what happens? The atomic number increases, so the nuclear charge increases, and the number of electrons in the outermost shell increases by 1. These are the two changes which are expected, which are observed when you move left to right across a period. And in each period, atomic radii of the noble gas is the largest. Why? Because in case of noble gas, they form van der Waals radius, and van der Waals radius is the largest. And when you exclude this 18th group, that is the noble gas, and you compare the this atomic radii. Lithium, in case of period 2, if you consider example of period 2, lithium will have maximum radii and fluorine will have minimum radii. Now I'm explaining you this with the help of a diagram. Okay, now suppose we are moving across left to right in period 2. Period 2 means each atom will have how many shells? It will have 2 shells. In first case, there will be 2 shells like this and a nucleus. And second case, again, there will be 2 shells and the nucleus. In third case also, there will be 2 shells and a nucleus. Now, what happens when you move left to right? If suppose this is group 1, this is group 2, this is group 3, this is just an example to make you understand. In group 1, the outermost shell will have 1 electron, this will have 2 electron, this will have 3 electron, it goes on increasing. And similarly, when you are moving left to right, the value of nuclear charge will also increase. In first case, it will be +1. In second case, it will be 2 plus. In third case, it will be 3 positive charge. Now when you compare these three, the atomic radii of this will be maximum and this will be minimum. Why? Because here only 1 electron and 1 proton is there. So the force of attraction between the two is least. But when you are moving ahead in the same period, you will observe that with each successive step, 1 electron is getting added to the valence shell and 1 proton is getting added to the nucleus. So now 2 protons are attracting 2 electrons. So the magnitude of force of attraction, electrostatic force of attraction will increase. So the atomic radii will compress. Similarly, in this case, it will have 3 positive and 3 negative. Again, the force of attraction will increase, so the atomic radii will compress. So when you will move across this left to right in period 2 or in any period, you will observe that the force of attraction between the electron and the proton will go on increasing because their magnitude is increasing with each successive group, thereby decreasing the magnitude of the atomic radii. So I hope it is clear. Now when you talk about down a group, now down a group, what happens? When you are moving down a group, the value of nuclear charge, if you are moving down in group 1, the value of nuclear charge remains the same. Sorry, the value of nuclear charge will increase. Why it will increase? It will increase because this number of protons or the atomic number increases whether you go left to right or you move down a group. It will. So what happens when you are moving down a group? The nuclear charge is increasing. I'm writing here. Nuclear charge is represented by Z, increases. Also, when you are moving down a group, the number of shells increases. Number of shells increases because when you're moving down a group, you are following this order of the period 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So in this case there will be only 1 shell, then there will be 2 shell, and in this case there will be 3 shell. So obviously when you are moving down a group, the number of shells will increase. So when the number of shells will increase, the atomic radii will increase. This factor does not support the increase in atomic radii, but this factor is the dominant factor. Therefore overall result will be an increase in the atomic radii down a group. So you can see here, down a group increases. What happens? The atomic radii increases down a group. Okay, this means we are talking about here atomic radii. Atomic radii increases down a group because the number of shells increases by 1, which is the dominating factor, and nuclear charge is increasing, but it is taken up or dominated by the number of shell factor. Now then there is another very important type of radii, ionic radii. How do we define it? Ionic radii means the effective distance from the center of the nucleus of the ion up to which it exerts its influence on the electron cloud. Okay, because ionic radii will be considered in case of ions, that is cation or anion. So it is the effective distance from the center of the nucleus of the ion up to which it exerts its influence on the electron cloud. Okay, electron cloud of the adjacent ion or adjacent atom. In case of cation, cationic radius is equal to internuclear distance minus anionic radii. And in case of anionic radius, how do we calculate it? Internuclear distance minus cationic radii. You will not get to calculate this, but you must remember the formula. Ionic radii is linked with the atomic radii and varies accordingly. That is, the variation goes according to the atomic radii only. The radius of cation is always smaller than that of the atom, parent atom. Please mark this point important. This you get as a question, important question in your exam. The radius of the cation is always smaller than that of atom. Why? Because cation is formed by the loss of electron. So in case of sodium, you can see here 281 is the electronic configuration. After loss of one electron, it becomes 28. Now it is a cation. Since one electron has gone, one shell has been removed. Now what happens? The lesser number of electrons are now attracted by same nuclear charge. Okay, less number of electrons are now attracted by same nuclear charge. That means the number of protons in case of cation, sodium cation, it will remain same, but the electron, earlier there were in total how many electrons were there? There were 11 electrons, and now there is only 10 electrons. Now the same positive charge has to hold in total 10 electrons. That is why the magnitude will go on, magnitude will increase, so the atomic radii will become shorter in case of cation. So radius of cation is always smaller than that of the atom. First reason is the one shell is lost, as in case of sodium. The radius of the anion is always larger than, that of the atom, because same nuclear charge is attracting comparatively more number of electrons. Now in case of anion, what is happening? The number of electron is increasing, because an ion is formed by increase in the number of gain of electron. So the number of electron has increased in the valence shell, but the nuclear charge is same. Now the same increased number of electrons are to be held by the same nuclear charge, so the magnitude decreases. As a result, the atomic radii or the ionic radii will increase. It will be more than the parent atom. Isoelectronic species, this I have already discussed in the previous chapter. Isoelectronic species are those species which have the same number of electrons, as in case of nitride ion, oxide ions, Na+, Mg2+, they all have 10 electrons in them. That is why they are isoelectronic in nature. The rest of the periodic properties I'll be taking up in the next session. Till then, revise this atomic radii and try to solve some questions based on this topic, and we will be discussing the doubts in the Zoom session.